Together, we are creating the environment in the state where every single Ohioan can have a better life and a more prosperous future. And we did that.
Governor Mike DeWine sworn in for a second term. You will hear him outline his goals for the next 4 years. The way you vote and when you can vote is changing. There is pushback on the newest law signed by Governor DeWine. We thank you for joining us here on Face the State. I'm Tracy Townsend. Let's start with a look at what's happening in Washington, D.C. with the new rules for the House Speaker. Following a historic series of events, the House narrowly passed a package of rules governing its operations. It includes a change that allows a single member to be able to force a vote to oust the newly elected Speaker, Kevin McCarthy. I talked with Representative Joyce Beatty about what happened and what's next for the 118th Congress.
It started off with a lot of confusion, confrontation, and chaotic. But as we've moved forth, we noticed in the very first bill, the speaker came right out with a bill that's protecting those who have the most, protecting them when we think of IRS, when we think of their taxes. So that was not a good sign for us. But as Democrats, we are holding strong because we know we have to put people over politics. We know that we have to keep fighting for those everyday issues that our constituents talk to us about.
This will be quite a difference from the last Congress. How challenging do you think it's going to be for Democrats, since you are not in the majority, to get things done?
Here's the interesting thing. While we are not in the majority, we witnessed what happened when they were trying to elect their speaker. Think about it, 15 rounds, thousands of times I had the opportunity to say Hakeem Jeffries. 212 people held firmly while they were all over the place. And I think that's what we're going to see. They have a 4-seat margin for the majority. That makes it very difficult with their divided caucus. The Democrats will stay united, but we will also do what we've always done. Fight for the people, will be fair. I've had the opportunity to work with colleagues in Central Ohio. And when people are doing the right thing, then we'll work together. I'm excited about the 118th. I have an amazing district.
We also invited 15th Congressional Representative Mike Carey to join us for Face the State and did not receive a response. The team in the 12th District of Congressional Representative Troy Balderson did get back to me, but they said, his schedule was too packed to do an interview. We are going to be working to get one scheduled in the next week, so look for that. Now, one reason for Balderson's packed calendar is that he was just elected to serve on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. It's one of the oldest standing committees of the U.S. House of Representatives, and it's responsible for consumer protection, food and drug safety, public health and research, and environmental quality, among other things. This week, Governor Mike DeWine gave his second inaugural address. He touted Ohio's manufacturing surge, but did not mention Intel by name. He said the state will go after violent offenders who are terrorizing our communities, as well as drug dealers, but he did not say how. DeWine says he's prepared to transform Ohio into a state with the best mental health treatment, the best mental health research and prevention. In January of last year, he did announce spending $15 million from a federal grant toward treatment.
We are building an Ohio where every single child, whether they live in Appalachia, in the inner city, in a village, suburbs, every child, we're working so that every child has access to quality child care, access to a good school, access to a positive role model and mentor. We are building an Ohio where every child can find something that they have a real passion for and get the training they need to turn that passion into their life's work.
One topic the governor did not touch on in his speech, the new voter ID law he just signed days before. It's a change that's resulting in lawsuits and outrage.
These are radical changes that were made in the middle of the night that where lawmakers did not get to hear from voter advocates. So these changes are unnecessary. They will be expensive.
House Bill 458, which Governor DeWine signed late last week, includes stricter photo ID requirements, eliminates early voting on the Monday before Election Day, eliminates most August special elections, and shortens the deadline to apply to cast absentee ballots by mail. 10 TV's Kevin Landers talked with a group that's against the change. He also asked to interview the governor about it, but was declined. It's a subject Kevin did ask DeWine about last month in a one-on-one sit-down interview.
Weeks before Governor Mike DeWine signed House Bill 458, he defended the state's election system and was debating whether to mandate voters show a photo ID to cast a ballot.
Ohio, we do a good job.
So why do we need this? You don't seem to be overly convinced that there's a problem.
Well, look, I think the burden is always on if someone wants to change the status quo. They have a burden of showing that there is a real need for this. So I'm going to look at the bill. I'm going to look at each separate provision that they have made and ultimately make a decision.
DeWine's decision to mandate a photo ID for registered voters has voter rights groups like the League of Women Voters calling for the governor to prove where the voter fraud is happening.
We care about election security and integrity, but this doesn't do that. A strict voter ID law would only stop voter impersonation, which does not exist in the state.
Even Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRosa's own voting poster touts the security and accuracy of Ohio elections. Voting rights groups say they don't believe photo ID requirements make Ohio elections safer.
Fraud is exceedingly rare, and it's never voter impersonation. Voter impersonation is the only thing that a strict photo ID would fix.
But the Secretary of State says nationwide polls conducted in 2021 show people support photo ID before someone casts a ballot to ensure a fair election. The League of Women Voters says while it doesn't plan to file a lawsuit against the state, it does plan to pressure Ohio lawmakers to make sure voters are educated about the new voting laws.
So we're calling on the General Assembly and the governor to fund boards of elections to educate voters on all of these changes to make sure that no one falls through the cracks.
That was Kevin Landers reporting. The new voting law is also coming under scrutiny from Disability Rights Ohio. The nonprofit corporation has a mission of advocating for an equitable Ohio for people with disabilities. Disability Rights Ohio has served as our state's protection and advocacy system and client assistance program. It's governed by a board of directors, primarily consisting of people with disabilities and family members of people with disabilities. Leadership of the agency says it could potentially affect those with disabilities and their ability to exercise their right to vote. I talked with Kevin Truitt, who leads Disability Rights Ohio's legal and policy advocacy efforts.
One of the major new requirements in this legislation is a photo ID requirement for people who are voting on election day or early voting. The photo ID requirement, so many people already have a photo ID, whether it's a driver's license or a state identification card, but a lot of people across the state don't. And a lot of people with disabilities don't have a photo ID already. And so there are a lot of barriers for people, especially people in rural areas, people who live in nursing facilities or other congregate care residential settings, people who rely on home care workers like home health aides, personal care aides, nurses. So there's inadequate access to transportation, for example, for this population. So even if a photo ID is going to be free moving forward, a lot of people are going to have to travel to their local BMV to get a new ID, and that's just not feasible or realistic for a lot of people. And so that's a major barrier that's going to be placed in front of this population, many people with disabilities across the state.
Now, when it comes to eliminating voting on the Monday before an election, critics argue that is going to create long lines. We're told that change is supported by the Bipartisan Association of Election Officials, who have pushed for more time to prepare for Tuesday's elections. Governor DeWine also signed a bill that could help improve teacher shortages across the state. We're talking about House Bill 554. Now, it allows the State Board of Education to issue 2-year temporary educator licenses to people who let their teaching certificates expire. This is only for those who do not have past disciplinary measures on their teaching records. Education professionals say they aren't sure how much relief this is going to provide for teachers.
House Bill 554 is a small step in the right direction because it takes away some of the barriers for people that may have previously been licensed to teach and working in our classrooms who stepped away, the opportunity to come back without an undue burden. But we have a much larger issue that needs to be addressed, and that is the pipeline of people that are choosing education as a career has dropped pretty dramatically. We have only half the number of people choosing education as a career and academic major now compared to 10 years ago. We've got fewer people working in our schools. We've got acute shortages of substitute teachers and education support professional positions and teaching positions in a lot of places across the state. And what we need is a comprehensive approach to make sure that all educators have the support and respect and resources that they need in order for education to truly be an attractive profession that not only draws new people into teaching, but also supports and keeps those who are already here.
Despite hesitation, education professionals say the bill is a major step forward in terms of bringing more teachers to the state of Ohio. Now, just before the start of 2023, President Biden pardoned a Columbus woman convicted of killing her abusive husband back in the 1970s. The now 80-year-old was 33 at the time of her conviction. She testified that her husband beat and verbally abused her before she shot him. During the trial, the judge refused to allow expert testimony on battered woman syndrome. Her appeal was among the first by someone with that condition. We talked with experts from the Ohio Domestic Violence Network who say people have successfully argued their cases using battered woman syndrome, but the diagnosis is still not widely accepted.
So I think that one of the, really important recognitions is that there are, and even when battered woman syndrome was kind of that phrase was coined in a kind of a famous book that came out in 1979. It was really kind of used to describe the psychological impact of domestic violence.
Now, if you or someone you know is impacted by domestic violence, leaders from LSS Choices say there are signs to watch for victims of abuse or those dealing with battered woman syndrome.
Our role is we have advocates and case managers that are available to assist people with telling them exactly or linking them to particular legal services that might be of assistance to them in cases like that.
And again, there is round-the-clock help available. You can call the number on your screen, or you can chat live with a professional by going to thehotline.org. You see that on your screen. AEP is hoping to make some changes to avoid another widespread power outage, but it's going to cost customers.
What would you say to people on fixed incomes who are concerned over that price increase?
We ask AEP what they will do to minimize the impact on your bill and why they say the price hike is necessary. Plus, a call to change Ohio's safe haven for newborns law. This comes after one fire department stops offering the option for moms who can't care for their babies. Welcome back to Face the State. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost asked the state Supreme Court to weigh in on the abortion ban. This is the latest move in the fight over Ohio's abortion laws. Now, the heartbeat law took effect last summer when the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. A Hamilton County judge later blocked the heartbeat law, and the First District Court of Appeals denied Yost's appeal. Now, Yost is asking the Ohio Supreme Court to take up this issue, and he argues trial courts are dragging out proceedings, so the injunction remains in effect. At the same time, one option for mothers who are unable to care for their newborn is a safe haven box. You can leave an unharmed newborn, less than 30 days old, no questions asked. But you may have seen some posts on social media about some of these locations no longer being offered. 10 TV's Lindsay Mills looked into those claims.
In August of 1972, a young 17-year-old girl was brutally attacked and raped.
Monica Kelsey is the creator of Safe Haven Baby Boxes.
And then she gave birth in April of 1973 and abandoned her child 2 hours after that child was born, and that child was me.
The mission is personal and one that has had success in states like Indiana. Our sister station, WTHR, interviewed a family that adopted a baby left in a Safe Haven Baby Box.
This is the only piece that connects us with her biological mom.
Here in Ohio, here's a look at where those boxes are located. Many are at small fire departments. We now know, though, of at least one that is no longer being offered. The Union Township Fire Department in Batavia. Its closure confirmed by that fire department and the Ohio Department of Health. The reason, according to the fire department, they are not able to guarantee that someone is in the building at all times in the event the box is utilized. And that's required in Ohio. Under the Safe Haven for Newborns law, you can anonymously leave your unharmed baby, less than 30 days old, with someone who fits the following criteria: a medical worker in a hospital or at a fire department or another emergency service organization, or with a peace officer at a law enforcement agency. In 2017, the state legislature established the Newborn Safety Incubator Program, which, according to ODH, requires the department to adopt rules and register the installation and operation of these incubators to ensure the safety of the baby. In an email to 10 TV from ODH, a spokesperson writes, an individual must be on site to immediately answer the alarm and assess the condition of the newborn. Technology and alarms may fail, and if they fail at this most critical time, the on-site individual's role is of the highest importance. Monica Kelsey is calling on the law to be revised.
No one has to be standing inside that firehouse. The box is calling 911 on its own. And then they also have an app on their phone where they can see the inside of the baby box in real time. So if there is a baby in that box, we're going to know it immediately.
And again, that was Lindsay Mills reporting. There is a box installed in Sunbury at the local fire department. According to Fire Chief Chris Kovac, they've stopped using it and hope that the language is changed in the law. The Ohio Department of Health says it will work with the legislature if any plans are in the works, but so far there are none. A familiar face who once led public safety in the capital city is back on Columbus City Council. This week, council voted Mitchell J. Brown to take Elizabeth Brown's seat. The electric giant AEP is responding to concerns over proposed rate increases. The goal is to provide more reliability, they say, so that we don't experience a widespread outage like we did last summer. 10 TV's Ashley Bornanson asked AEP how this plan will specifically reduce outages and what this is going to mean for families who can't afford the price hikes.
Electricity, what keeps our modern world going round.
We got to pay it no matter. We got to eat. We got to have housing. We got to have power. We got to have heat.
But this summer, that came to a halt when extreme heat and windstorms knocked out power across central Ohio. AEP was forced to cut off power to about 170,000 people. For some, like Homer Claypool, this meant no power for a week.
Lost a lot of food. We got kids at the house.
Northeastern Ohio was particularly hard hit. There was a bomb cyclone in that area, and so there were many outages.
Lisa Kelso of AEP Ohio says they don't expect the chaos we saw this summer to happen again with the new $2.2 billion plan the company filed to improve equipment, their power grids, and increase tree trimmings around the lines to hopefully prevent future outages.
We have hundreds of assets that are going to reach the end of their useful life in the next 10 years. And by making these improvements, we'll be able to improve reliability and the resiliency of the grid for our customers.
But with that will come a cost. If passed, the customer will pay 2% more each year, about $4 more a month or $48 a year.
Some people are on fixed incomes. What would you say to people on fixed incomes who are concerned over that price increase?
We know that there are customers that are experiencing financial hardship, and we'd encourage you to reach out, give us a call at 1-800-672-2231.
The company is also proposing a $5 discount for senior citizens and energy efficiency programs to help low-income customers reduce their energy use. Some say they don't mind the increase.
If we're going to have to spend a little bit more to make it more reliable for everybody, then that's an okay expense to have, I think.
Others say they are frustrated.
They can just charge us whatever, and we got to live every day, so we have to pay it. We ain't got no choice.
That was Ashley Bornanson reporting. AEP Ohio is also proposing a resilience pilot program where they would have portable generators. They would be able to move to different areas experiencing outages and then limit the outages to low-income families and those who are most vulnerable. If that's approved, that would start in June of 2024. Well, they may have survived the pandemic, but the challenges aren't over for some small businesses in Ohio. What it will take to make it through a possible recession. The pandemic, as you know, was hard on many small businesses in our state. And now owners are up against a looming recession. As 10 TV's Clay Gordon found in a new survey, owners and leaders say they're ready for it.
Small businesses need to be nimble, whether in a recession or just recovering from pandemic-related problems.
2/3 of business leaders are expecting a recession in the U.S. In the coming year. Now, there are a number of headwinds they've been facing.
Some of those headwinds, inflation and labor. JP Morgan Chase surveyed nearly 1,800 small and mid-sized business leaders for its 2023 Outlook report. The economic outlook might be bleak, but many have already factored it in.
50% are still expecting to add workers this year, and only 12% of those surveyed indicate they would be reducing headcount. The majority expect revenues to grow as well as profits in the coming year.
The Ohio Secretary of State's office says the latest figures from November show the Buckeye State added 13,420 new businesses, which is down about 93 filings from the year before. In 2019, 2020, and 2021, Ohio set records for business creation.
2020 was, really the toughest year that we have had in the restaurant industry.
John Barker is the president and CEO of the Ohio Restaurant Association. He says Central Ohio was part of the nearly 100,000 restaurant closings across the U.S.
I think restaurants and hotels and breweries, everybody in this hospitality space has really focused on how to run their business, the right way, tight, and get efficient. On the encouraging side, you are seeing restaurants open all over the place.
Finding workers has shown to be easier for the food industry in the last quarter. Layoffs are happening in other industries, so more employees are looking for a flexible and immediate opening, and wages are now higher because they have to be.
A large majority expect to raise wages. That's really been the way that businesses have been trying to attract and retain employees.
Wages have gone up significantly. There's no question about it. We've seen double-digit increases in every layer within hospitality.
For Consumer 10, I'm Clay Gordon.
And with that, we say thank you for joining us here on Face the State today, and we wish you a great week.